And we are assisted today with David Durbin from the County Attorney's Office, and from Kelly Lundgren and Dan Nolte of the County Clerk's Office, and Carrie Egan, Chief Administrative Officer. So will you join me now in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and thank you all. And Mr. Clerk, will you begin the agenda, please?
Copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, January 19th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of last week's meeting. Any discussion or any corrections? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are claims. Approval of all claims processed through January 26, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve all claims processed through January 26th. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next are special presentations. Recognition of County City Building Art Exhibit, Wendy Jane Bantam.
Okay, yeah, please come on up, and thank you so much for coming. Yeah, and please sign in, and then introduce yourself and sign in. And we're glad that you can make it on this day.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell you thank you so much for asking me to be part of the exhibitions.
And could you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
My name is Wendy Jane Bantam,
Okay.
and I want to tell you thank you for inviting me to exhibit at the County City Building. And that's mostly it. I'm the director of the Outlook Project. I provide scholarship and venue to working artists based on a template I created for AmeriCorps and worked for NeighborWorks Lincoln. So I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for having my work in your space. And any questions?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your history and how you got started in art and your medium, and a little bit about that.
Sure. I'm a working artist since I was about 20 years old.
That was yesterday?
In the hallway, you'll see pieces that are are done in plaster. They're carved in plaster, similar to a scrimshaw that was once done on ivory. So it's hand carved. And the other medium I work in mainly is in oil. Recently, I've been working in music and exploring animation. So I have a working studio. I work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every night painting, and proceeds from each of my sales go towards the Outlook Project Scholarship, which is at the University of Nebraska Art and Art History Department, and goes towards a young working artist every spring.
You have mentioned quite a bit about the University of Nebraska. Are you a graduate of the university? Or?
I'm a master's in painting at the University of Nebraska. And once I completed my degree there, I joined AmeriCorps and wanted to give back through my art and create a scholarship for other working artists, because it's not an easy job, but mainly in public arts and community work, so that involves community.
Very interesting.
Commissioner Avery.
I am not at all artistic, but I hear that artists and artistic people, if they're going to be successful, have to do what you just mentioned, work every day at it. 6 to 6, that's a tough day.
Time goes by fast.
Unless you have writer's block or something like that. What is the word for having a block on painting?
I think I just refer to it as writer's block, but I try to tell myself I don't believe in it, and I just keep going anyway. Just go to work every day like I always have.
Paint over it the next day if you don't like it.
Or just create another painting, sometimes 20 paintings at a time. So, anyone else?
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much
Well,
for the
thank you so very
exhibition.
much.
Bye.
Next is the recognition of the 5-0 Club, Fun Club, Jeff Bleimeyer, Chief Deputy Sheriff, and Sergeant Tommy Trotter.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Jeff
morning.
Bleimeyer with the Sheriff's Office, and this is Sergeant Tommy Trotter. We just want to take a few minutes, kind of at the urging of Sarah, to share with you one of the projects. In law enforcement, we don't do a good job of sharing in a public forum some of the good things that we do. Unfortunately, what you see on the news is the arrests or a lot of the bad things. So this is an opportunity to do that. In June of last year, the Sheriff's Office with Cedars and with Sarah began exploring opportunities to work with children ages 12 to 18. Our goal was to promote positive relationships between law enforcement and youth that may be at risk for entering the criminal justice system. In July, we selected 5 personnel from the Sheriff's Office from a group of numerous volunteers. Lots of people wanted to do this, and 5 were afforded that opportunity. Funding was provided by Sarah with community aid, and the coordination and planning efforts with staff from Cedars and our staff began to shape the effort. Sheriff's deputies, Cedars employees, and a group of 6 to 8 youth met on November 3rd for the first time. Collaboratively, they named the project the 5-0 Fun Club. 5-0, just so you know, is a slang term for law enforcement, and oftentimes used in the street, but it has a good positive
Like
connotation.
Hawaii 5-0.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it.
TV.
Cedars in the Sheriff's Office, Cedars staff has been amazing. Rico Zavala is one that I worked with, and I'm sure that Tommy's going to share some others, but their passion to serve is motivating our employees too. And we hope that the rapport and trust that the Sheriff's Office personnel are building will follow all of those kids throughout their lives, not just now, but long after this ends. Specifically, I want to thank Rico Zavala and Sarah Hoyle for the initial part in the planning phases of this endeavor. And then importantly, Sergeant Trotter has taken the lead on this, including, and the other 4 deputies are Deputies Jeff Moeller, Deputy Tyler Pettit, Deputy Casey Dahlke, and Deputy Amanda May. And all of them have been incredible during this whole thing. With that, I think Sergeant Trotter is going to share just a few examples with you too.
As he said, I'm Tommy Trotter with the Sheriff's Office. I was selected to kind of coordinate this project along with Cedars. We did some initial meetings. I met with Rico Zavala and also Megan Shoemaker, who is coordinating on her end at Cedars. And we come up with some criteria on how to select children, and they did all that themselves. They wanted kids who were going to be open to meeting with law enforcement, but they also wanted to get some of the kids who may be most at risk. And so they selected children who were going to be there for a while and we would have a chance to work with over several meetings. So we've consistently, since we've done this since November, we've met twice a month basically and met with the same children. So now we're getting to that phase where new kids are coming in every other week, and some kids are leaving. And the ones that are leaving, Megan has shared with me that they're very upset that they're leaving, and they really enjoyed their time there. Last Tuesday, the deputies took these kids and they took them out to eat, and then they went bowling at Sun Valley Lanes. And it was a really good event. You know, we shared a lot of pictures on social media, and we get a lot of positive feedback through that. But the email I got back from Megan Shoemaker at Cedars was that one girl had forgotten about the meeting and she didn't show up, and she was heartbroken that she couldn't attend. Then there was another kid who was almost in tears when they left that night, and it was really, you know, it was good and bad at the same time. And then there was another kid who I was featured with on 10/11 last month when we did our Christmas party. His name's Sam, and he's a 15-year-old former gang member. He's went through a lot of positive change, not just from this project, but also from the work that he's done at Cedars. And he graduated, and he's out of the program now, and he's no longer going to be part of the Cedars either youth group or part of our 5-0 Fun Club. But he and I kind of had a connection, and it was featured on that 10/11 story. And he was also somewhat, you know, heartbroken, but, you know, glad to be graduated through. So we are making an impact on these kids' lives, and I really appreciate the support that we've received from all of the county board members, the Human Services Group, and also from Cedars, because it's really been fulfilling for us as well as them.
Yes.
Do you foresee expanding the program, or is 5 officers a good number? And how many kids normally participate, and how do you tell when they're ready to graduate?
Well, we leave that up to Cedars to determine the graduation level for the children. You know, they have specific programs that they go through away from us, and
Okay.
that's how they get out of the program. And I think expanding it, I think we have a good number with the amount of kids that we have. You know, it's usually a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio. So each deputy can go interact with 2 or 3 children, so it's more interpersonal. If you get bigger than that, then I think we would need a bigger group of children as well. But it is something I would love to see, you know, funded again, and we would continue it. We probably have enough funding to go through May or June, and then we'd have to re-examine it. But we would like to open this up and keep it going, because it really is worthwhile.
Great.
Commissioner Avery?
I see that you are wearing a tie, and Major Blymaster is not, so which is out of uniform?
We do have the option. The sheriff affords us that luxury.
Yeah.
That's because he doesn't wear a uniform a lot.
I think there was an ugly sweater involved in the holiday
was.
party, wasn't there?
That
Yeah.
one was
Yeah.
fairly ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was impressed in my memory.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think that this is a fantastic program, and I know that similar things have gone across the nation, you know, and it's been proven very successful in many of the different communities and cities, and so this is just definitely playing out in that the same way. Probably the board is fairly sure that Sarah Hoyle will be able to find funding for this again. So
That's really good news. And I don't know if I mentioned, but our deputies really receive a lot of enjoyment from this too. And, you know, we've selected a group who range in age from new to my age. And, you know, most of them have children, one of them doesn't, but the interaction that you see and the differences among the 5 of us, it's interesting to see how they interact with all of the children who also come from varying backgrounds too.
And actually, one of the comments, oh, excuse me, go ahead.
Just want to say we appreciate the professionalism and the camaraderie with these students. I mean, they look up to you. You're setting an example, and it's a positive one, and they're learning you as a law enforcement officer, not a pig or a cop. And I know my grandkids certainly appreciate it, and kids that I talk to, and we don't see it as a cost. We see it as an investment in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the work you do.
One of the things that was mentioned at the national conference that I went to when they were discussing this is the fact that, indeed, just as you mentioned, it's a learning experience both ways, okay? Because many of the law enforcement people don't have the background, really, and so from where these kids came from, and so they're learning that also. And so it gives them a bit more compassion also.
That's true.
So thank you for everything that you guys do.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4 is a public hearing, amending County Resolution R 1373 to change the manner in which air quality inspections are conducted.
This is a public hearing. I will now open the public hearing and begin. Okay.
Do solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Judy Halstead, Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department. Just to kind of give a brief explanation, as I had shared with commissioners in an email, this is really just a cleanup for us. As you know, we are the delegated agency directly from the U.S. Department of Environmental Protection that has us do our air quality program. And they notified us last summer that they had asked that we provide unannounced inspections. We had been doing some of them as unannounced and some of them as announced. We have 91 sources that are regulated. 38 of those already had unannounced visits. 53 of them had announced visits. We were asked to do so to be consistent with all of Region 7 under EPA. And so we made that change at their direction. And in September, we sent an individual letter to each of our regulated sources, sharing that information with them. We made the change October 1st to be in compliance and have been doing inspections as unannounced inspections since that time. Things have gone fine. When we were looking at our city code cleanup, we realized that we needed to make change to our city code because we referenced the uniform inspection code as part of this inspection work. That uniform inspection code requires that we do announced visits. And so under the advice of the assistant city attorney, we changed that to indicate that we would do that at reasonable times. And because we need their employees there when we do the inspections, we translate that to normal operating hours. It's not like we're showing up in the middle of the night and expecting them to show up as well. We do that when they're there. So just wanted to do a consistent cleanup on the county side, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Is there anyone to speak in support of, in opposition to, or in a neutral position? Now we'll close the public hearing, and let's move on to correlating item 5A.
This is under new business, a resolution amending the Lancaster County Air Pollution Control Resolution to change the manner in which air quality inspections are conducted as provided in Attachment A.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution regarding the air pollution control resolution. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5B is an interlocal agreement between the City of Lincoln's Parks and Recreation Department and the Lancaster County Engineer to engage in a hydraulics and hydrology study of County Bridge N-114.
Okay, and we have Pam coming forward. Engineer Dingman.
Good morning, Pam Dingman, County Engineer. So what I've brought before you this morning is an interlocal agreement between Lancaster County and the City of Lincoln Parks Department. You may remember this particular bridge is the bridge that serves the Denton well field, and it's in very poor condition. It's also the corridor of which the Parks Department would like to build a trail through. So some time ago, we had told the City of Denton that we would do a study in order to decide if we could put a box culvert in here instead of a bridge, because a box culvert, of course, would be about a third the cost. In the meantime, the Parks Department came to me and said, well, we also have an interest to have our trail in this corridor someday, so we'd like to make sure that there is, an appropriate path for the trail. And we discussed it, and they agreed to split the cost of the study with me, and so that's why I'm bringing forward this interlocal agreement.
Commissioner Wilchin?
Engineer Dingman, thanks for bringing this to our attention. When you mentioned the sharing of cost, I guess, what are we talking about? I mean, how much money are we talking about?
I mean, it actually, the interlocal agreement, to some extent bringing it to you is one of these things that it's not that big of a cost. It's like $8,500 to do the study. Now, obviously, depending on what comes out of the study, there'll be additional decisions to be made, but this particular interlocal agreement is for $8,500.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Okay. Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this interlocal agreement. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. C is an offer to the Cornhusker Marriott Hotel to rent 150 rooms and meeting space from October 11, 2016 to October 14, 2016 to host the 2016 Nebraska Community Aid and Juvenile Justice Conference. The county will pay $89 per room night, $1,300 for the meeting space, and $6,000 for food and beverage. Such costs will be paid using community aid funds from the Nebraska Crime Commission.
Good morning, Sarah Hoyle, Director of Lincoln Lancaster Human Services. This particular contract, the Crime Commission approached us and asked us, if you remember 2 years ago, we had a similar conference. They asked us if we would host a conference similar to the one we did 2 years ago. And basically what happened 2 years ago, most of you remember, is the juvenile code was basically rewritten. And what it did was, the major thing it did was transferred a lot of juveniles from supervision of the Office of Juvenile Services over to juvenile probation. With that, it also increased the amount of county aid, now called community aid, that counties were receiving. It also put into statute different things that community aid could be used on. And one of those things was evidence-based practices, evidence-based programs. And so we found several counties struggling with what are evidence-based programs, what do those look like, what are some examples. And at the conference 2 years ago, we were able, with community aid enhancement funding, we were able to bring in various speakers from across the nation to talk about different programmings that they do in their community, in their counties, that are evidence-based. This particular conference, people across Nebraska have asked for it again, so it'll be very similar to how it was before. There's a track on trauma-informed care, crisis intervention, different types of ways to divert kids out of the juvenile justice system. We have a committee working on it. The $6,000 for food and beverage is an unallowable cost in the grant, and so a committee is working with sponsors, vendors, to get that covered. So we will not be covering the cost of any food and beverages with state funding or county funding.
Very good. Any questions?
Looks like you're expecting about 350 people? Is that
Yeah,
right?
last year we had around 400. So, yeah, it was, and the evaluations were wonderful that we received from it. It's a free conference to all county involved individuals.
Is there any continuing education that goes with that?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, okay.
Yes, we are working with the region to get CEUs for mental health providers, and then CLEs for attorneys.
CLEs.
CLEs.
What is it? Okay.
Doing legal education.
Continually.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. That was just a term, and I
Yes.
some letters I hadn't heard of. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Thank you. And Gary, you had comments?
Carrie Egan, snowing good or skiing good? I swear I'm falling apart in front of your eyes. Now I have a catch in my giddy up. Gary Aldridge, Lincoln, Nebraska. 47, that number's changed a bit. I'll come back to that. Tuesday last, I offered comments on a menu item handled by Human Services, Sarah Hoyle Shop. Friday last, I pursued unresolved issues regarding Youth for Christ. Sarah Hoyle was patient and generous with her time. Today, I again offer comments on a Human Services agenda item. I do not focus only on Human Services or Sarah Hoyle. Most know I mostly focus on or target this board, sometimes with great glee. Ain't democracy beautiful? The agenda item C description, quote, a juvenile justice conference, is vague. I have not yet taken complete leave of my senses or sensibilities. I do not argue with juvenile justice. The link attached to agenda item C is only a quid pro quo, a contract. I was able to access C160051. Agenda item C lists 3 separate expenditures: 1.3K for meeting space, 6K for food or beverage, 13.5K for rooms, 21K. I rounded up. All tax dollars, save the $6,000 for the explanation, thank you. All public money, all starting private at some place and time. Some, most, or all money may be from the Nebraska Crime Commission, picked from the pockets of me and thee and that person behind the tree. At times it seems government functions almost entirely in meetings. I know from experience Some meetings have value. Some do not. A meeting for some has meaning. A meeting for some, well, is just a road trip. If you do this only because you can, don't. Go forward because this is a learning or sharing or teaching experience. Does this juvenile justice conference have value? The question then becomes, what does value look like? Alas, that is an issue Lancaster County Human Services has to struggle with. 47, my opening. If the 21K conference expense was only and entirely property taxes for Lancaster County operations, the 21K would consume all tax dollars paid on average residential property by 47 citizens, taxpayers, owners. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for those comments. Any discussion, further discussion?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we provide the offer to Cornhusker to host the Juvenile Justice Conference. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5D is acceptance of a proposal for appraisal services with Great Plains Appraisal, Inc. in the amount of $4,000 for appraisal services at 2200 South 17th Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we accept this proposal for an appraisal. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. E is a grant contract between Lancaster County and the Salvation Army in the amount of $31,022 for the Sports with Police program. Term of the contract is July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
Okay. And this particular contract is very similar to what you saw presented in your special presentation, except this is the guys in blue with LPD working with the kids at the Salvation Army. And basically, it's the center team at the Salvation Army. So you have the cops that are engaged in the neighborhood where a lot of these kids attend the Salvation Army at. The cops are serving, the police are serving as assistant coaches to kids in the after-school program at the Sudanese or at the Salvation Army who want to play basketball, baseball, football, soccer. They'll have different teams together, and then again, LPD will assistant coach those. So we're looking again to build those relationships with kids in the community and police officers.
Commissioner Avery?
Is this money grant money?
Yes, it's community aid funding. Yep.
We always have grant money.
Yes.
Good.
I was going to ask you, is there a woman police officer on there too?
You know, I don't know. I'd have to
Because
see.
I noticed with the sheriff that they did have.
Yeah, I can see and get
It'd
back
be,
to you
if
on
they
that.
could, that would be really good, because I'm sure that there are probably some girls who would like to, who would benefit from that.
Absolutely.
I would move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this grant contract with Salvation Army. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. F is a grant contract between Lancaster County and Clyde Malone Community Center, Inc. in the amount of $10,000 for the Talented 10th Scholars Program. Term of the contract is July 1st, 2015 to July 30th, 2016.
And this particular program has been around for several years. You may remember that it came from the Disproportionate Minority Contact Committee that Lancaster County has. And basically, the Disproportionate Minority Contact Committee goes through each one of our system points in the juvenile justice system. So for example, how do kids enter? Through arrest. We look at the arrest rates. Then we go on to the filing, the petition rates. And then how many kids end up getting locked up? How many kids then go out to Kearney and Geneva? We look at each of those and we see, based on Lancaster County's population, is it proportioned for all races and ethnicities? And one of the things that we found was we had overrepresentation of our African American youth who were being arrested and going through the whole system. And so the community did focus groups, and they talked to these kids, they talked to the parents, and they wanted a program to support them, a program that they could come, they could learn about history that they experienced, and have mentors too for them. And what's interesting in this last couple of years is it's open to all kids, of course, and so we're really seeing a mix of the number of kids that go there, the race and ethnicity of kids there. It's at Talented 10th. They meet on Monday nights. They usually serve around 50 kids over the course of a year. So they're also engaged in some of the schools as well.
Well, this is a tremendous program, you know. And at one time, I did serve on the board for the Clyde and Malone Community Center, and some great results have occurred.
And then the next item we'll be discussing is a similar program focused for young girls, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I will move approval of item F.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this grant contract with, for the Talented 10th. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. G is a grant contract between Lancaster County and Clyde Malone Community Center, Inc., in the amount of $10,000 for the Strong and Smart Girls Program. Term of the contract is July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
Okay, and this contract, as Commissioner Shore just referenced, is pretty much the same program except for girls. For those of you who have ever worked with adolescents, teenagers, you know that conducting a group with boys and girls gets you not very far at all, because there's so many different dynamics happening within that group. And so we found it's better at that age to separate those groups and have a boys girl group and a girls group. And that's exactly what this is.
Thank you for clarifying. As someone who does not have any adolescent children, I knew that. I would move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this grant contract for the Strong and Smart Girls Program. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5H is a grant contract between Lancaster County and the City of Lincoln Police Department in the amount of $140,108 to provide funding to the Lancaster County Attorney's Office for the Lincoln-Lancaster County Investigative Narcotics Cooperative Task Force. Term of the contract is October 1st, 2015 to September 30th, 2016.
Dave Durbin, Deputy County Attorney, Lancaster County Attorney's Office. I just want to clarify, this is something that's been ongoing for quite a while. This is the first time a contract has been before the board. The LPD has been providing pass-through funding to the County Attorney's Office to help prosecute drug crimes that are related to the task force. This helps to fund 2 attorneys at 100% and 1 attorney at 90%.
Wow.
I would move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this grant contract. Any discussion? Yes. Commissioner Wilchin?
Mr. Durbin, where does the funding for this come from?
Comes from U.S. Department of Justice.
And Commissioner Avery?
And why is, we're getting it now for approval, but previously we have not?
Previously, LPD had just been passing the funds through without a specific grant contract. We had been performing those duties, and they had been funding our attorneys. DOJ instructed LPD that they had to have a contract this year. And there's a similar contract coming up next on the agenda with the Sheriff's Department, where is my understanding that that had been ongoing, but this is the first time a contract has come before the board.
But this is not a new program.
This is not a new program.
Okay.
Okay, I think, any further discussion? I think we need a motion.
You already have.
You do, and a second.
Sorry about that, and a second. Okay, sorry. Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Abstain.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4 yes, 1 abstention. I is a grant contract between Lancaster County and the City of Lincoln Police Department in the amount of $50,000 to provide funding for the Lancaster Sheriff's Office for the Lincoln-Lancaster County Investigative Narcotics Cooperative Task Force. LSO shall contribute $6,500 in non-federal matching funds. Term of the contract is October 1st, 2015 to September 30th, 2016.
Good morning, Terry Wagner, Lancaster County Sheriff. Just to clarify some of the questions from before, the Lancaster County Narcotics Task Force is the former name of whatever it is now, investigative, whatever. But it's been in existence for about 30 years, Commissioner Avery. It used to be funding came from local law enforcement block grants and the Edward Byrne Drug Task Force money. Those were combined into the Justice Assistance Grants through DOJ, and that's what money comes to the task force. In the past, we just had an MOU between, I think, the County Attorney's Office and the task force and the Sheriff's Office and the task force, and now DOJ has sort of changed their procedures. They require a contract, so that's why this is coming before you now.
Okay.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this grant
One.
contract. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
it's related but not to this item.
Oh, okay.
So.
Any further discussion?
30 event.
Please call the roll.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Abstain.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4 yes, 1 abstention.
You have a special presentation occurring this
This
afternoon?
afternoon at 1:30, yes.
Yes, at
1:30?
1:30.
Okay.
And by the way, congratulations on that $6 million bagging that you did with marijuana.
No,
this
actually, you
week.
had a couple of them, really.
We had
two
a
of
couple of, one was a 1,500-pound seizure worth about 7.5 million, and the other was a 500-pound seizure, 515 pounds. Street value, that's about 2.5 million, so almost $10 million total in high-grade marijuana that was taken off the streets.
And you get to do what with that? You burn it?
The marijuana, yes.
Yeah. So you don't get any income from it?
No. No, we don't get to sell it and get the income.
Okay.
5J is an agreement with Midwest Towing for towing and storage of towed vehicles for the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. The term of the agreement is 3 years from the date of execution. The county will pay for the services pursuant to the pricing provided in the contractor's proposal.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we, that we have this agreement with Midwest Towing. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. K is an amendment to County Contract C-14-155 with Hoodmasters, Inc. for kitchen, exhaust, hood, and equipment cleaning services. The amendment renews agreement for an additional 1-year term from January 24th, 2016 to January 23rd, 2017.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5L is an amendment to County Contract C-10-101 with Conica Minolta Business Solutions USA, Inc. for the annual requirements of costs per copy services, extending the contract for an additional 1-year term from March 1st, 2016 through February 28th, 2017.
Move approval.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to the county contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. M is an addendum number 4 to lease agreement with the Department of Administrative Services, State Building Division, acting on behalf of the Department of Corrections for office space in Traybert Hall. The addendum renews the lease agreement for a 1-year term from May 1st, 2016 to April 30th, 2017.
I will move approval with a question.
Second.
Okay.
We do have the ability to cancel this amendment should we decide to vacate Traybert Hall prior to April 30th. It's, I don't know, what, 18 months away?
Dave Durbin, Deputy County Attorney. I'd have to review the actual lease, but generally we have some sort of termination clause.
Do we want to wait on that until we find out if there is a termination clause?
If you need that information, Karen.
Well, how long do you think we'll be holding on to Traybert? Another 18 months?
I believe Carrie Egan's going to check right now.
Okay,
Okay.
because the amendment doesn't list the,
I would assume that there is a termination clause, but why don't we just table this
Okay.
for the moment?
It's fine.
Okay, let's table this and move on to N.
In his public employer retirement plan account report for the Lancaster County, Nebraska 401 Employees Retirement Plan, 401A Employees Retirement Plan for the plan year ending December 31st, 2015.
Kerry Egan, Chief Administrative Officer. I don't know if there are any questions regarding it. This is an annual requirement that we file this report. It's in the statute that creates our pension, Section 231118. So it's really an administrative function. Prudential provides us with the information to file the report. Just an editorial comment, the report is actually due December 31st, but we don't have the data for almost a month till after the report is due. So maybe we can slip in an administrative amendment to that statute at some point to require that it be due a month later. So I've never once filed it on time because the information to file it simply is not available for at least 3 weeks till after it's due.
Are there any penalties for being late?
No. In fact, we're probably the only county that complies with this. It's kind of hidden in the statutes, and I'm not sure what they do with the information. I'm sure it's valuable, but it's a requirement of the statute for a defined contribution plan under that statute.
I would move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the retirement plan annual report. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. O is a dormancy agreement with Hewlett Packard for HPRM licenses.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this dormancy agreement. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 6 is a consent item, right-of-way contract between Lancaster County and Zachary and Sari Whitson, South 120th Street and Pine Lake Road in the amount of $200,055.
Move approval of the consent item?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent item. Please call the roll.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 7 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on agenda may do so at this time.
I'm told that Carrie Egan's skiing was a road trip by a bunch of guys. You'll have to ask him about that. Pam Dingman in the back handed me a slip that said this is the 14th measured snowfall so far. That puts her about halfway to 30. And Commissioner Avery, the sheriff might need a federal narcotics tax stamp to deal with that marijuana. Gary Aldridge, Lincoln, Nebraska. Quote, officials lament unfunded mandates, 24 October 2014. Quote, the route to property tax relief, 11 November 2015. Quote, 100 million of property tax relief, 20 November 2014. Quote, ideas for property tax relief, 23 December 2014. Quote, focus on property tax relief, 6 January 2016. 3 published as Our View positions on the journals from the Journal Star Opinion Shop. 1 published as a guest local view in the Journal Star. All talk about or seek or offer solution or salvation for property taxes. Distilled, don't tax me, don't tax thee, tax that person behind the tree. Alas, all too many conflate and or confuse, quote, tax relief with tax shift. For example, see the 5 above. 3 advocate increased taxes on cigarettes and or snacks and sugar-heavy drinks. Fair enough. Alas, to carry this to a logical conclusion, some tax policy affects behavior. What if all tobacco users suddenly were not? Full disclosure, I no longer use tobacco, but do occasionally consume not so healthy food. What some advocate, a property tax decrease for me, becomes a property tax increase for others. Talk about your brother's keeper. I see the shift. Others, it seems, well, not so much. Two of the above cited, 24 October and 11 November 2014, tie tax relief to, quote, unfunded mandates. This is also a shift from one rule-making body to one or more below. A mandate by another name is a function or program or service. Citizens, a plurality or majority thereof, want or expect or demand government provide the mandate, the function or program or service. And who pays the cost or price? That, after all, is the devil in the details. Something, methinks, about watchfulness of citizens, taxpayers, owners. All, save, quote, county debt serve, will collect and expend property tax dollars. The Lancaster County Treasurer in CY 2016 will collect from citizens, taxpayers, owners, and shovel to political subdivision tax authorities $448 million property tax dollars for operations. Some, most, or all citizens, taxpayers, owners have an imperfect understanding of property taxes. Many call property tax onerous, burdensome. State government, which has no ownership interest in property tax, has little or no or diminished statutory responsibility to lessen this onerosity or onerousness. The burden of property tax and tax relief is owned by political subdivisions. It is, after all, political subdivisions and not state government that will collect and spend property taxes. The solution or salvation begins with citizens and watchfulness. Thank you.
Okay, and again, thank you for your comments. We do appreciate them.
Next is number 8, announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will tour Community Corrections, the Public Defender's Office, and the Benish Building, which will be the new location of the Lancaster County Mental Health Crisis Center, on Tuesday, January 26, 2016, at 10:30 a.m., or immediately following the Lancaster County Board of Equalization meeting. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a mid-year budget retreat on Thursday, January 28, 2016, at 7:30 a.m. at the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department Training Center. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold their next regular meeting on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016, at 9 a.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building, with the Board of Equalization immediately following. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016, at 9 a.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building, regarding a request to vacate a portion of Old South 54th Street between Hickman Road and relocated South 54th Street. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live. It is rebroadcast on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday on 5 City TV, cable channel 5. In addition, the meeting may be viewed on the internet at lancaster.ne.gov under 5 City TV Video on Demand or 5 City TV on YouTube.
Do we have the information on
On N?
M? Speed legal reading. I mean, it doesn't start till May 1st. It doesn't start till May 1st, so.
Those good.
Sign a contract quickly with the state, because it'd be hard to move if we want to vacate that space before mid-April.
Carrie graciously found the original contract, and Lester and Leslie each have the right to cancel a 90 days notice.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's return then to item N.
I think I made
Oh,
the
excuse
original
me.
motion today.
That's,
We have a motion for M.
oh, okay. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, so, are there any questions?
What were the costs of a termination?
There,
You said just a 90-day notice?
90-day notice.
No cost? Oh, okay.
No, there's no penalty, it's just a 90-day termination clause.
All right.
There are other termination clauses for cause and other reasons, but there's just a general 90-day termination clause.
Thank you.
All right. So, please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. I think we're at the adjournment stage.
Correct.
I would move adjournment.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners meeting is adjourned, and let's move on to the Board of Equalization.
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Also in attendance this morning is Scott Gaines from the county assessor's office. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, January 19th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve last week's Board of Equalization meeting. Are there any corrections? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 3 is a public hearing for motor vehicle tax exemption applications, and this is for Christian Record Services, Inc., Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital, Nebraska Wesleyan University, the Salvation Army, St. Joseph Catholic Church and School, Union College, and Wayuka Funeral Home and Cemetery.
Okay. We'll now open the public hearing for the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Is there anyone to speak in support of, in opposition to, or in a neutral position? And seeing none, I will close the public hearing and proceed.
I would move approval of the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We had public comment, didn't we?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. This
Those
is-
wishing to speak on items related to County Board of Equalization business non-agenda may do so at this time.
Okay, and seeing none, okay.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the Board of Equalization meeting is adjourned.